My name is Michelle Breyer. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at SKU. I started a company called naturallycurly.com as a hobby, and it grew into a big business and ended up, we were sold in 2018, and I joined SKU as a mentor and loved it. We work with entrepreneurs who have created emerging brands in a variety of categories, everything from food and beverage, personal care, clothing, an at-home insemination kit, you name it. If it's something that could be groundbreaking for consumers, we have worked with different entrepreneurs, and SKU's role is to help brands scale and hopefully have a liquidity event. We have a lot of brands that get these amazing offers from huge retailers that want to stock them, but they may not understand at all what is involved in going into, whether it's a Target or a Whole Foods, that it's not just enough to get on, number one, do they have the working capital to provide the inventory that's needed? And then once they're on the shelf, do they have the ability to market it so that it sells? Otherwise, they're going to be off the shelf. So, have they thought of trade spend? Have they thought of other types of marketing and advertising to drive people into these retailers? So that has been a common issue with a lot of companies. People are noticing their brands, but what is the correct way to grow in a way that is sustainable? So even if you have a product and even if you have sales, you may not really understand a lot of things about it. It's really important to understand who you are as a company and who you're not. A lot of times it is doing a deep dive into your current data. If you're selling online, you have a lot of data there. You may not be asking your customers for certain types of information, and you may want to start doing that as people make orders. You can have a short survey that, how old are you? How many times a month are you buying? Where do you buy these types of products? What retailers are you purchasing at most often? So you can get data on your current customers, and a lot of people sample at stores and get a really good feel for what people think of their product, who is most interested in their product. I think it's a combination of things that help you identify that market. You don't want to be everything to everyone, because that may not be the best strategy. How do you identify those key markets that you're going after? Many times that's creating a persona of who that, or several personas of who that ideal customer is. I'm a big fan of things like farmers markets. You get this real-time feedback from people who are walking by, people who you sample products to. At that point, it's easy to make tweaks. Maybe people really like the product, but the packaging is not great, or a certain product is too sweet. Whatever it is, farmers markets are just a wonderful way to get out there. Smaller venues where you have the opportunity to get real world feedback are invaluable. A lot of brands start D2C, and for a number of reasons. It's much cheaper, the margins are much higher, and you can do some of that surveying of your market and really identify what part of the country are they from, what places do they shop. So you can target, when you start going out to retailers, which are the ones that make the most sense, because it is very, very expensive to go into retailers. I mean, you have to really dedicate a lot of time to it. Many of our founders are solopreneurs, and many emerging brands are for a long time. And, you've got so much on your plate. You're wearing every hat. D2C can be incredible. And along those lines, Amazon, many people want to shy away from Amazon, but somehow someone will find your product. And if you don't put it on Amazon, they will. So having an Amazon store can be a great place to also get revenue. But start slow and start within a certain geographic area, and maybe start with one retailer, go into Whole Foods, do it really well, support it. That will help you get into other retailers, and it will help you from a cash flow perspective. Because again, it costs money to go into retailers, and you need to support those activations through marketing, trade spend. It helps the brand, but it also can be very expensive. Well, what we recommend is start small, start with a certain number of retailers, preferably in a certain region, because every region you go into requires additional resources. And you're going to learn a lot from that experience. You're going to develop relationships from that experience. You're going to get a lot better information about what the true cost is of working with retailers. And then you can identify others that might be good prospects. One thing I do like is a lot of retailers take an approach where they'll take you into a smaller number of stores and then expand that if your product is doing well. Very few retailers would say, okay, I want you in all 2,000 of my stores. And again, for an emerging brand without a lot of resources, going into 2,000 stores right away could be devastating. There was a local Austin-based pastry company, and they caught the eye of Southwest Airlines, and Southwest wanted to put their cookies on all their flights, and she was not prepared. She didn't have the working capital for it, and it put her out of business. So something that should have been so incredibly exciting and such a great opportunity ended up being a disaster for her because she wasn't ready. It's one of the things I love about emerging brands is the founders are so helpful to other founders. They really are giving of their time, and they want to help each other. Not having enough working capital, that is the biggest mistake. That may be because many brands bootstrap. They have big aspirations and they want to do it all now, and they don't have any patience. And you have to be patient. You have to be, you've got to be able to financially support your expansion. That is key. And then another one, after you raise money, continue to have a scrappy mindset. Continue to evaluate every decision you make as if you have no money. It will make you a better business person. It'll make you make better decisions. I can't say that enough. Really evaluate your runway. If you're doing marketing, what is your burn rate? You may be a brand right now that has all these incredible opportunities, but if you can't get there with your cash flow, all of those great opportunities don't matter.